Yeah, do you know what, right? I was a journalist for 10 years, yeah?
Yeah.
Vox Pops, yeah? Vox Populi.
Yeah.
Yeah? Popular music, yeah? Pop-Tarts. Snap, Crackle and Pop. Yeah?
Anything
The
else?
Mamas and the Poppers.
Pop goes the weasel.
Exactly, yeah?
Anyway, we are here back for a new show. I'm Scotty, that's Motty, and this is going to be called Pop Talk, to do with popular current affairs. Is that right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
Popular-
Pop Talk.
We're talking.
Pop Talk.
Talking about popular things.
Alexei, have you got your microphone on?
I do.
How do you say it? Say the name of this
Oh, you do
show.
all like Queen's English or King's English, what is
He'll
referred
call
to it as now?
Pop Talk. Go on.
Pop Talk.
Talk.
Talk. It's talk.
How'd you say bald, Alexa?
Bold.
No, you don't. Right, so first we're going to be talking about that man, Lee Mack, and the calls for him to be cancelled that didn't exist. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribing. Our viewing numbers are going up, and we'd like the subscribing numbers to match them. So please, don't cost you anything, just press subscribe. Helps us to continue doing this. Before we start, you don't like hot stuff, do you?
What do you mean?
Like spicy stuff?
I have been known to have the odd coma.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you don't like spicy stuff, do you?
There was a time in 2003 I had a masala.
A masala? Was that your way? Was that the hedonistic days?
That was when I was just so carefree and crazy.
Yeah, was the drugs involved in that? I'm wild, watch me.
Watch me eat half of this masala. No, I'm not. I'm pretty bland and beige when it comes to my food. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. You know that better than anyone. You've known me for years.
I had a Carolina Reaper yesterday, which is known as one of the hottest peppers on earth.
Oh, there was that time you made me do that thing as well.
Yeah, in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was like proper, like one of the hottest.
Was it?
Yeah.
Did you have to drink milk?
No, I drank juice afterwards, but I went to the gym because we're doing our 2 miles a day. So I did that yesterday, and the heartburn afterwards, mate.
Why you go to the gym?
What do you mean? Why am I going
You
to
doing the run and the gym?
Yeah.
That's mental.
Why?
Why? Because 2 miles a day is enough. You don't throw in the gym as well.
Well, you know,
you've changed.
some of
I don't
us,
even know you anymore.
Who
are you?
Stopping the drinks and the drugs. I've got to try and, preoccupy my time with something. I'm either running or lifting weights or anything. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is I was doing it and the heartburn was absolutely ruinous.
Oh, bro. I used to have bad heartburn.
Yeah.
So he just went away. Didn't do anything. Thank God he just went away.
And then today...
Which is a great story, by the way.
Today, after you eat stuff and it's got to go the other end, went through me like Roy Keane. Oh, mate, it was absolutely brutal.
There's a sight. There's a thought, I should say.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of my shit. But
nice.
We're going to be talking about Lee Mack. Yesterday, he said a joke at the... I can't remember what the awards were. Was it PFA Awards? Or some award ceremony. And Jill Scott gave him an award. And he turned around and said, to receive a sex toy like this off Jill Scott is an absolute pleasure. Which isn't even funny, let alone offensive, I don't think.
I like Lee Mack.
And
he is funny. I like the 1% Club. And he's in his element there. He's very good at that.
He's very quick.
Yeah. Also, I think this is one of these things, right? All the stories now, so many of them. Me and Alexei on Paddock will notice this from the news. You'll have stories that say things like, Lee Mack calls for Lee Mack to be cancelled, grow, or Lee Mack urged to be cancelled, or whatever. Outraged fans say Lee Mack has gone too far. And that'll be the story, right? That'll be the news item. And then when you click on it, it'll be like from 2 tweets with about 14 followers.
But this was the thing, because GB News started it saying
there you go then. Outrage.
The beacon of honesty said that there was lots of people calling for his cancellation and didn't refer to any tweet that actually asked for it.
Thank you.
Then Sport Bible.
Oh, another bastion of journalistic integrity.
Followed suit. Actually quote tweeted, and the 3 quotes that they tweeted were nothing to do with asking him to be cancelled at all. And then this whole thing, and then it was trending because there was no calls for him to be cancelled, and yet the people who feel like, wokeism and leftism and all that were the ones who started this charade.
It's just nonsense, right? GB News is fucking shite. Let's have it right. We all know that. Just making up stuff. Making up outrage. And it makes me laugh how they're so hypocritical. They'll go, cancel culture, wokeism, it's gone mad. And yet they'll be the ones for calling for Gary Lineker or whatever to be cancelled when he says something that doesn't fit their political agenda. Then you've got Sport Bible. And one of the funniest conversations I've had was with someone from Sport Bible who asked me if I could get Steve to go on there or to do some stuff with him. And he asked what the fee was. And when they sent him the fee, he said, tell him to add another 0 on.
And they didn't.
No. They were never going to do that.
No.
So yeah, I think it's just this storm in a teacup stuff, innit? I know that Alexei wanted Lee Mack to be cancelled. He was furious.
Did he?
Yeah, he was
He
raging.
doesn't like Lee Mack.
He thought this was beyond the pale, I think you said, didn't you?
I've not been able to sleep for the last 3 nights because I've been so outraged.
It only happened yesterday.
That's how outraged he was.
Yeah.
He was that outraged.
Whoa.
He was being insomniac, being an insomniac.
Premeditated anger.
Yeah.
I knew
2 days before it happened.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to come for Lee. I knew it was going to happen. All right. And I knew the reason they were doing it is so it could get cancelled and then come back, and the headline would be "Return of the Mac." That is what is happening.
Nice.
We all know that's what's happening. That's what they want. That's what the elites want. You know, they want that headline. They want to cancel him. They want that headline.
That's one of my favourite Chris Evans lines when he used to do breakfast radio years ago. Obviously, when that came out, it's not even funny. I don't know why I'm saying this because you won't find it funny. But when he played that song and then he just stuck with me. He went, "That was Mark Morrison returning his Mac."
That's proper dad material. That's what.
That was literally 1995 whenever that song was coming out. And I've remembered that ever since. I just thought it was
Do you know
hilarious.
what's mad? You've mentioning Chris Evans.
Go on.
I spoke to Joe about this morning. I saw Chris Evans this morning.
Shut up. Where?
Captain America.
I got off.
Get out.
Well, today he was Captain Market Street tram stop.
Oh my God, this
Because
show's already gone downhill.
I got off the tram and I was walking down the tram bit, tapped out because I paid for once.
Yeah, right.
And
You're not fooling anyone.
I was walking. I was eyeing up a Greg's, but the Greg's I
Thank
usually
God
go
you edited
to-
that sentence with the Gregs.
Yeah, the Greg's I go to has now been turned into a Mexican restaurant, which is quite sad.
Hey, bloody hell. Brexit means Brexit.
And I just saw this man
Mexit.
walking towards
Nice.
me, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Chris Evans. And I looked at him, I was like, oh, that is Chris Evans. And he just kind of was just there and just walked past. And I was like, why is Chris Evans in Manchester? Like, I don't get what he would be doing here.
Right.
And the thing with Chris Evans, he's not one of those people that gets swarmed,
Yeah.
is he? He's just Chris Evans. He's just a little Chris Evans.
I don't think
about.
his hair's not as bright as it used
It's
to be.
white now, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
grey?
and I think that it is a little bit more non-plus.
I don't know why you're shocked that Chris Evans, who's from Warrington,
Would
and
be in
has
Manchester.
worked in Manchester for 20 years, is in Manchester.
What would Chris Evans be doing in
Yeah,
Manchester?
you're acting like he's Barack Obama.
Oh, that is in Tamworth?
Like, what? I just saw Chris Evans getting off a tram.
In Manchester?
Like, without any security or even a butler.
Did you hear about why Chris Evans left Top Gear?
No, go on.
Originally? He left because he found out he suffers with car sickness.
Really?
And the first time they filmed an episode of Top Gear, he threw up everywhere, and he was just like, "Can't do this," which is obviously quite a big problem, isn't it? If you're the host of Top Gear, because of the cars and that.
Did you hear about Noel Gallagher this week, speaking about cars and celebrities?
Go on.
Got 6 points and a fine for not actually not paying any speeding fines or appealing against him, and he hasn't got a driving licence.
Really?
Yeah, because he's a registered owner of the car.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's been banned in the past. Or he got banned today for 6 months or something because of unpaid speeding tickets. And he's not got a license.
That's mental, that, isn't it? That's so crazy. You get away with anything, don't they, celebrities? Sort of.
They do indeed. Even Lee
On Chris
Mack-
Evans, though, I want to talk to you about Chris Evans, because I used to work at Key 103, which used to be Piccadilly Radio, which is where Chris Evans started off.
Yep.
And there was Paul Lockett, who I used to work with, was a newsreader, a legend. We used to work together, and he told me a story about Chris Evans. When Live Aid happened, they flew over to Dublin and interviewed Bob Geldof, Piccadilly Radio. Did this big interview with Bob Geldof that they were going to use for the breakfast show. And this was back in the 80s, so this was when you didn't have internet or anything like that. You literally recorded it, put it on a tape, and flew it back to Manchester to play on the breakfast show. They did the interview on the weekend. It was for the Monday morning. Chris Evans was coming on the weekend. He's looking for a cassette to tape something on, and he tapes over the Bob Geldof interview. So they couldn't use any of it because it was gone.
My mum and dad went to his leaving party for some reason.
Chris Evans?
Yeah,
is?
when he left Piccadilly, was it?
Yeah, it was Piccadilly, Piccadilly Radio, innit? But he used to work with Timmy Mallet and all them, didn't he?
Yeah. Back when it was a good station, and things that are a good station is GB News, and that's where I think our next person of topic is going to head. I think Paul Schofield and Phillip Schofield. It's Paul Schofield.
Paul Schofield was the actor, wasn't he?
Was that where I've got that from?
Yeah, he was an actor in the 60s or something, I think.
Well, it's not him we're talking about. It's Phillip Schofield, because he's unfollowed Holly Willoughby. Unfollowed her. Like,
Do you know what? When you think this man can't get any lower, right? When you think he's actually sunk as low as a human being can sink, he somehow manages to find an even lower limit unfollowing Holly Willoughby. That is beyond the pale.
People are upset about it.
Rightly so, he's a disgrace.
In fact, there was more people upset about that than there were Lee Mack's joke.
Do you know what? I can't be doing Holly Willoughby, mate.
I don't think she's particularly nice. I think a lot of it's a front.
I do. I think they're both a pair of horrible people.
Egotistical.
I think they're just pretending to be funny and nice, and they're not. Do you know, now and again the mask will slip, won't it?
Yeah.
And you'll think, you're actually not. You know, like me and you, we're horrible, but everyone knows we are.
Well, we admit it, we don't try to... we don't pretend
like,
to
Alexei is what can only be described as vile.
Yeah.
I mean, scumbag.
A scumbag, yeah.
That's why we're not allowing him on screen, because he can't...
No. He's wanted for starters, so if the police see it, then that's him getting next.
I don't even know what he looks like. That's why he's coming with a mask, so we can't identify him in a lineup.
So he's what he is. We're what we are. But we're honest about that. We don't pretend to be nice. And they do. Or they pretend to be drunk or laughing. And it's just annoying me, the pair of them. And I just think this morning needs billing anyway.
Yeah. Holly Willoughby was one of my highlights as a radio presenter.
What do you mean?
She was at the whole jumping the queue at the Queen's funeral when you got to see the Queen in resting or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was kicking off saying Phillip and Holly had jumped the queue. So
bit of jibbing.
Before that had happened, I gone to our BBC correspondent who was down there, and he was listing off a lot of names, and off the back of it, you have to do a back announcement to say who you've been talking to and, reiterate what he said. So I've gone like, oh yeah, and I was just speaking to so-and-so at BBC correspondent down in London at the what do you call it, day of rest, or what do you call it, day of mourning?
Yeah, whatever. It was about 10 days, wasn't it?
Yeah, visiting the Queen's corpse.
Well, that's a lovely way to put it, yeah.
So I had to list off the names and, and the people down there, and Bob Geldof, David Beckham, Phillip Schofield, and Holly Willoughby. Talking about the Queen's funeral, and I dropped Holly Willoughby. Because you'd seen it, I'd heard Holly Willoughby so often.
So you started to think that was what you almost said it before. So that's what you thought her name was, Holly Willoughby.
Holly Willoughby. That's up there with my other faux pas on the radio, where I think it was Christmas Eve, and one of the best bits that we'd been playing from another presenter had been like she was talking to someone who is like really heavy story, but I wasn't listening to what she was doing, and then it came back to me without, it was unexpected. I went, and that was Simone there talking to someone about something. Anyway, here's Ed Sheeran. Wow. Happy Christmas. Talking to someone about something.
Not thanks for that, Simone. Anyway, here's Ed Sheeran. Literally, that was Simone talking to someone about something. No one knows. No one really cares. Hey, wow.
So I'm wondering why I'm out of a job. Right, next up, school concrete stuff is the headline. Do you want to lead on this one?
This is just so annoying. It was more than annoying. It's infuriating, right? So schools are falling apart. You had, is it Gillian Keegan, who's the education secretary? Another
well, they deserve some credit.
Brainless Tory stooge who's been wheeled out in front of the cameras to spout the latest dross, was sort of defending the government's record on this and what's going on. And the funny thing about her interview, which sort of got everyone going, was Dan Hewitt interviewed her from ITV. I know Dan. I used to know him when I was a local reporter, and so was he. He's a good guy. And he interviewed her, and he asked her about the fact that, the first, I think there was a school in Kent in 2018 that was crumbling. It's been going on for a while. The budget was cut by Rishi Sunak for schools. There's all these sort of reasons to believe the government is responsible. And she was trying to pass the buck and say, well, it's not actually us, it's someone else. It's the local authorities and all this nonsense. Anyway, when the interview's finished, she's been hot-miced, moaning about the fact that he wasn't being nicer to her and praising her for doing a good, and these are her words, a fucking good job. Yeah? And I just think, you're so arrogant. Not only are you arrogant and useless, you're also that deluded that you think you're doing a good job. And another thing that annoyed me on this story as well is Labour asked about this and the fact that schools are crumbling and they're going to fix them. And Labour came out with a really bizarre line. They went, well, we can't commit to spending more money on schools until we know how much money, the sort of scale of the problem and how much money we've got. And I think, this isn't optional. You don't choose whether you're going to fix schools that are crumbling down and could be falling on pupils' heads. You have to fix them. Yeah. It's not like we're going to decide whether we're going to send kids into schools where they could potentially get killed or not. You've got to. And this whole Labour line of not committing to any spending increases is just ridiculous, because obviously you have to fix these schools. And on the other side of the coin, you've got the Tories wanting credit for the fact that they've, they're not killing children in schools. You know, we deserve credit for that. It's like, get a grip. Come on.
You're doing your job.
Yeah,
like you shouldn't
badly.
You shouldn't get credit just for doing your job.
You're doing it badly.
And if you're hitting the objectives, then that's what you're paid the money to do. Your reward is your paycheck. And like I said, if you're doing it badly and you're still getting paid, then there you have it. I spoke to Baroness Barron about this.
Baroness Barron?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, she's like...
I can't see any of that.
Part of the...
Stasi.
I can't say that. I interviewed her last week anyway about all this. And she was saying there's like different extremes. Say in some schools, the concrete's only been used in like a cupboard or something like that. So it might crumble, but that's not as dangerous.
Right, okay.
Something along them lines.
Who was that Muppet that said you could grow concrete? Were he on GB News? Or was it Talk? It was Mike Graham.
Mike Graham.
Yeah.
You can grow concrete.
You can grow concrete. When he was arguing with like some...
Oh, is it like a Just Stop Oil person?
Yeah. And he was like, you can just grow concrete. Oh, yeah, on a concrete tree. You fucking dickhead.
If you could grow anything, what would you grow?
Other than what I used to grow.
I think one of my neighbours is up to that.
Is there? Ooh, you'll know.
You know
whiff.
Because of what not just the whiff, but what they've got over the shed.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
They're not building a UFO.
Right, okay. Yeah, is there a wire going from their shed to the street?
There's a wire going from about 4 different houses to the shed.
Right, okay, yeah. You might have a point. If I could grow anything, I would grow... you don't want to say something like obvious like money. Yeah. I don't know. I'd grow... What do I like eating? Something I like eating. Cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
What would you grow, Alexei? Because you're vegan, aren't you?
Oh, God. You just have a tree.
I could,
with
I could
nothing
just have
on.
a normal tree.
Yeah? All right,
I
fair
mean,
enough.
if I was being like an alpha male and like a lad, you know.
You are a lad. Why are you trying to pretend down there with your southern voice as though he's not ripped?
I don't like saying this on camera, but I'm going to. You might not know this about Alexei, but he's actually one of the front line in the United firm. Right, when it all kicks off for United, it's him leading the way.
Yeah,
he's one of them ones in the black shirts that are just smashing people's heads in at football matches.
All it takes, Jay, is one punch.
One punch. Alexei, they call him.
Yeah.
Knockout Braithwaite. That's what his nickname was back in the day.
Bang out Braithwaite.
Yeah.
What would you have then on your tree?
Boobs. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, proper lad.
Hey, what a lad.
Hey. Am I a geezer?
Yeah, you are. Such a geezer. Such a lad.
Proper geezer.
Hey, I'd have boobs on my tree because I'm a proper lad.
I'm like Danny Dyer.
You are.
Oh, you schlag.
Danny Dyer. Have you ever seen Danny Dyer talking about Oswald Mosley?
Fucking brilliant.
Have you ever seen that, Alexei?
What is it?
So funny.
Danny Dyer talking about Oswald Mosley.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he shows him that picture. He's talking to the story and he goes, Oswald Mosley, the melt.
That's a melt. Do you think he's like that, or is
yes,
play? Yeah,
100%. Yeah. Have you seen that? Who Do You Think You Are? When he was on that.
No, is it good? I quite like that series.
I was never that fond of Danny Dyer, and when I watched his episode, I fell in love with him
because he is
amazing. He's just hilarious. He's naturally hilarious without trying to be. Even his walk, it's just mint. You got to see it. It's the best episode of anything ever.
Really?
Yeah, it's unreal.
Is it up there with City Rats?
That's the worst film I've ever seen.
Right, but he's in that.
He's in that. Tamer Hassan's in it as well. I know,
yeah.
He's got 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. City Rats, the worst film I've ever seen.
Yeah, oh God, that Gotti film was terrible though.
Oh my God.
With John Travolta. It's so bad. But to have that storyline.
Yeah.
And then
how have you taken a subject as interesting as John Gotti and made such a boring film?
It was absolutely terrible. Right, the last thing we're going to be talking about, which I don't have a clue, do you?
What's this?
What the next story, Logan Paul?
Yeah, let Alexei explain this to everyone.
I hope so.
So
I kind of know it, but I need his input.
Logan Paul is a YouTuber / Disney man.
YouTube, there's no money in that.
He was. I know how everyone will know him. Prime Drinks. Jay, you know the drinks your kids really
me
like.
and Alexei had a little deal going on.
We had a deal going on. That was another alpha male thing I did.
He was dealing me Prime.
What's that?
Yeah, for my daughter.
Yeah.
I've got kids.
All right.
They didn't put me in on the deal.
Did you ask for any?
I didn't know anything about it.
At any point in your life, if you said to Alexei, can you get any Prime?
But I didn't know he didn't look like a prime guy.
Oh, mate, he was absolutely dripping in Prime.
I'm in my prime.
In your prime.
He was getting flavours that weren't even out yet.
Well, it was the inside of his Stone Island laced with it.
Yeah, he was like, look, bro.
Yeah, got all that.
I got that Prime for you. Yeah.
Braithwaite gets the badge.
Testers are out.
Yeah.
Hey,
Braithwaite gets the bargain.
So, Logan Paul, prime man, fighty YouTube man. He was fighting a man called...
Fighty YouTube man, you're such a bloke. Hey, fighty YouTube man. Hey, a bit of fisticuffs, the bounder. Sorry, go on.
He's a proper nutty geezer. Yeah? And he's fighting someone called Dylan Dennis. I don't know who he is, so that's a problem.
I think he's a cage fighter, an MMA fighter.
So he's fighting this bloke in October. So basically, this Dennis guy has tweeted a lot of times about Logan Paul's fiancée called Nina. Now, a lot of these tweets, I only saw this the other day because I kind of caught up on it all, and I was thinking, this is awful. He was just tweeting, like, it was kind of harassment. He was tweeting pictures of her with other men, leaking explicit, like, really bad stuff, like bordering on probably illegal. Now, what shows is that it was probably illegal, and that shows this Dennis bloke isn't that clever, is they're meant to be fighting on October the 7th, but he tweeted last night basically saying that Nina is suing him, filing a restraining order, and within that lawsuit is requesting that Dennis goes to prison. Now, if Dennis goes to prison, obviously for tweeting these explicit images, the fight won't even take place at all, and he'll lose all his money.
I think, yeah, I can't see it getting dealt with within the next month, to be fair. As you say, when's the fight? October?
Yeah, October the 7th.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think I saw some of the tweets that he'd done, because he was moaning money that he'd been like shadow banned. There was no engagement on his tweets. They went from getting like millions of views to nothing. So he thought like Elon Musk or someone at Twitter had sort of not blocked him, but had stopped his tweets from showing up. Yeah. It's just proper pure out stuff. And I know fighters, I think they're having a boxing match, even though he's a cage fighter. I think the fight is going to be a boxing match. I know they always do trash talk and stuff like that. But he's proper, like, just got OTT. There's so I ain't got a dog in the fight. I don't really know anything about Logan Paul or particularly like him, but just constant pictures of his missus. She used to go out with, like, was it Leonardo DiCaprio or someone? She went out with someone quite famous. So he keeps posting pictures of her with her exes and stuff like that.
Logan Paul does, or the...
No, the Dennis geezer.
You wouldn't want to follow Leonardo DiCaprio, though,
like, I don't know if it's DiCaprio, someone like that, of that ilk. It might be Brad Pitt, actually. Yeah, which isn't, that's better,
Can you imagine that, who's your ex? Like yeah. Chris Martin followed Brad Pitt to Gwyneth Paltrow.
Imagine.
Like, what a rebound that is.
Imagine how insecure you'd be, like, do you know what I mean? Just put on a bit of timber or something, you'd be like, oh my God. Or Brad Pitt's latest film comes out and he just looks amazing in it. You're like, oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, no, not again. He just gets better with age, doesn't he, as well, Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Bit like me.
I was trying to think of Coldplay puns.
Great.
I bet he shivered. He was in a lot of trouble. Alexei, help.
Coldplay puns?
Yeah. Coldplay puns.
Fix you.
Yeah.
I'll fix your bloody face up.
Hey. Oh my God.
Hey. And I'll punch you until you go yellow.
Yellow. That's that was the only Coldplay song I could think of. Was Yellow, and it just I couldn't even
You'll
think
be
of
seeing a sky full of stars.
Yeah, nice.
I like that. What do you reckon to these YouTuber fighting men? I mean, this sort of mashup of
it's neither really
media and sport.
It gets an audience, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gets an audience, which it's all about the money, obviously. Is it diluting sport though? Because I think Tyson Fury is fighting a cage fighter in Riyadh.
I don't know. I mean, you had sort of didn't Floyd Mayweather fight one of the Logan brothers, the Paul brothers? Obviously an exhibition. It's the way it's gone on it, and people complain about it and saying, oh, you know what, it's ruining the sport and all this other stuff. People want to watch it. It gets an audience, and also let's not pretend that boxing hasn't got other issues going on. Like, there's all sorts going on in boxing, isn't there, in terms of like drugs, in terms of the amount of belts there are now, which is just like interim, silver, super, regular for every, like for
different.
So for one weight division, you used to just have like WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO, but now within that, you can have like 4 or 5 WBA champions for the same weight. It's just ridiculous, man. I was
silly,
just
man.
Boxing, there's still some good fights out there, obviously, but I just feel like the other night, I watched, I didn't pay for it after it finished. I saw the Eubank Smith fight. I just think it's not a fight that gets me excited. Like,
There's not that many charismatic fighters. Did you meet Crawford when you were out in America?
No, Macca went to the fight. Yeah, I didn't. I missed out meeting Evander Holyfield, didn't I?
Yeah. Remember, I actually met Evander Holyfield.
Did you? Well, I met him, but it was brief and I couldn't get a picture.
Yeah, I was actually at Ricky Hatton's gym.
Really?
In Hyde.
Was he all right? He seemed all right when I met him briefly. He smiled at me, and that was about it.
Yeah. Have you met any other celebs this week apart from Chris Evans?
Yeah. It was when I was not very well. Me and Ben went to Sainsbury's to get me some paracetamol. And in the car park, we saw John Fury, Tyson Fury's uncle or dad. Yeah, dad.
You political bastards.
You political bastards. Yeah, we saw him.
Scottish.
Yeah, about to say, you went a bit Scottish there. My impression weren't great, but yours...
You went too north there.
Yours was, turned into, I don't even know, something like, Inspector Taggart.
In real life, he is a very big man, isn't he? And he's also not the kind of person you expect to just see just standing outside with a Sainsbury's bag with some Satsu.
I think you've got a very warped sense of who you should and shouldn't bump into. Bumping into John Fury at Sainsbury's is pretty normal, in terms of the scale of celebrity and who you're going to meet.
We're not in Hume though, Jay.
He's it's not that far from town. He's a person who probably gets about a bit. Also he's only famous really for being Tyson Fury's dad. Chris Evans again ties to Manchester. You see him in City Centre, not really beyond the realms of possibility. I feel like you're surprised to see people that it isn't that surprising to bump into.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I get the celebrities and the famous, but what's the most outrageous celebrity encounter you've had where you'd be like, I can't believe I've seen him?
So I used to work in a shop in Cornwall I did this for about 5-6 years when I was coming to and from uni, and before that in a town called Porthleven, which is so obscure. It's the most southerly point in the country. You can't get more south than that.
Porth what?
Porthleven.
Porthleven.
It's not far from Land's End. That's how far out it is.
Right.
And I was on the tills one day, and I was doing my little sweepy bit and sorting the trolleys out, and just Jeremy Clarkson just kind of, it's really weird. He just pops out in this Bentley or whatever it is, just looked completely out of place, and just parked outside the restaurant opposite. And to be honest, it's one of them where I was like, this is really weird. And he was horrible.
Really?
Shock.
Because I went to speak to him because he was kind of coming towards the shop, and I was like, what's going on here? So I went to kind of speak to him, and I was having a brief conversation with him. And then these kids came over, who was probably about 12, asking for photos. And he went, no, I'm not doing photos. I'm here for a holiday. I'm not just here to smirk on your phones all the time. And I was like, Jesus Christ. He was not a nice man. But yeah, that was very random. I've just realised I've seen 2 Top Gear hosts.
I was going to say, you need Paddy McGuinness, now you got a hat-trick of Top Gear hosts.
Or Matt LeBlanc.
I had someone come up to me, I know obviously Palin compared to them 2 people, in the co-op the other week, and Scotty. And yeah, he goes, didn't expect to see you in here.
Nice.
So I was like, what, in the co-op?
Yeah. I remember once when I was working in a bookstore and Julia Roberts came in and bought a travel book and that.
Oh, shut up, you're just reliving Notting Hill.
Oh yeah, shit, that's Notting Hill. That didn't happen to me at all. Sorry.
Did it not?
No.
What's the most random sort of celebrity you've seen?
The most random celebrity? Richie Delatt in Clinton Cards. I got him to sign my mum and dad's anniversary card.
Dion Dublin in our price.
There you go. That's what I'm here for.
Proper
Those sort of celebrities. Yeah.
With
Do you know what I mean? Hey, never mind your Chris Evanses and your Jeremy Clarksons.
Your Top Gear presenters, bloody suckers.
You know what I mean? Oh, look at me. I'm in a shot with the Top Gear presenter. Pathetic.
It is indeed. Right, I've been Scotty, that's been Motty, that's been the geezer, Alexei on the production. This has been us talking about all the popular subjects. Let us know if you've got any, what's your most random celebrity encounter. Make sure you're subscribing. I'm drunk without being drinking.
I'm drunk without being drinking. That don't even make sense.
It's like Carolina Reaper. Right, okay, see you later.